What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of Film Family. Today we're going to be talking about the new Zombieland Part 2, Double Tap. We have our cousin Johnathan here, who's going to be joining us to impart his words of wisdom on us on this film. Yes, so we'll start down at BG. What did you think about this film?
Yeah, so I like the first Zombieland, it's a pretty solid comedy. It's like, you can definitely tell it's the same people who wrote Deadpool. It's got that like fast, quippy kind of referential comedy. And I think this movie it's pretty solid. It's a solid follow-up. It's got a couple things that, I'll criticize, but overall, I think it's a solid watch.
Yep. I think kind of like the same thing. Like, it was pretty good. It wasn't as good as the first one for sure. It had some pretty good moments in the movie, I guess. And like BG said, there's some stuff that can be criticized and some stuff that could have been taken out, but it was all right. It was a pretty good movie.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I'm not going to say I was disappointed by watching it. I wasn't angry that I went to go see it. I laughed at it. I thought it was pretty funny. And I think it was very similar to the first one. Not like in a bad way, but it just kind of stayed on brand,
That's actually what I really liked about it. I'm kind of old school in that way. I don't like when they change it up too much. I like this movie, kind of what all of you guys are saying, but in a day and age where they kind of screw up sequels now, especially a 10-year coming up, I was very happy that at least it was what it was, because I think we all saw it like either the day before we watched it in the theater or not, in different times, but yeah. And so it was fresh in our mind that the first one was like kind of new and fresh. So it's kind of hard to.
And it does, like you were saying, it does take a lot from the first one, but it changes it enough to where it feels like a worthy sequel. And it also, doesn't like go too far off base to make it something that seems like it's trying to be different. Because that's the problem with a lot of sequels is when you try to be different because your first movie was so successful, so you have doubt in yourself. They're able to like match that, success. But I thought I laughed a pretty decent number of times in this movie. It was pretty funny. Sure. There's definitely a couple weird things, and then a couple things like especially the end. I don't know how I felt about the end of it. Just the whole like them all running to the
the Great Buffalo Run or whatever.
That was a little weird, but I did think most of the comedy stuck, and I was worried about new characters because the last movie had such a extremely small cast, and this movie was kind of upping that a little bit, so I was kind of worried that it was going to ruin it, but it's it kept a steady pace, which is good.
Well, it's super difficult to do because especially when you're talking about, let's say, a zombie movie. Mm-hmm. The first one has a beginning, middle, and end. They either have to get to a destination, find a cure, they have to come to a conclusion, or don't. Yeah. And then if they don't, what do they do in the second one? And then it would kind of be like the same thing. Like you're on the run again, trying to get to another place. But I don't think that... I think this was a creative idea. Like, it was a good story with Little Rock going missing, and then they had to kind of go follow her. And it just made more sense of a story. Like, they could have done something way stupider. Let's put it like that. They could have done something worse with this.
I think it was a cool idea to put them in the White House. Like, definitely. If there wasn't people there, you'd live in the White House. I actually thought they were going to delve, especially because of the writers of Deadpool. And I thought they were going to, go under it and, show some weird stuff, make some jokes. But they kept it pretty safe. But it was, they made some good humor out of that.
There are two things that I do want to bring attention to that I think are I didn't really like. He said, "Thank God for rednecks" again in this one. And the way he said it felt kind of forced. Like they just tried to do too many parallels or similarities between the first one and the second one. And I just didn't think it fit in this, I guess, sequel. And then the second one was when the big monster truck ran over the beast, the armored limo.
Yeah, he didn't need to do that.
No, it was cool that he did it, and I thought it was funny or whatever. But what I had the problem with is that when they showed them pulling off of it, it's a fake car. And you can clearly see that it's literally just built out of wood and an outside frame. There's no interior seats. There's nothing like that. And I was just like, come on.
It's a weird critique, but...
It's something that I noticed. I was like, I like cars. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah, see, I was going to say, you're a car fiction. It went over my head.
I just saw it. I was like, that's completely it's a wooden frame of a car.
I know what
you didn't even have a real limo.
Yeah, when they did introduce those people, that's when I got a little I hope this movie doesn't become kind of cheesy in a way. Where they're trying to make
doubles, you mean?
Yeah,
like the mirror?
Where it's like, it's the same guy, or it's the same character. And in that moment, killing him was a very smart choice.
100%, definitely.
Because A, it made for the most impressive action scene in the movie, but B, it was just a good choice because it didn't bog down the original characters that you wanted to see kind of, go through the story and develop more. And I gotta say that that tracking shot was extremely impressive.
Oh, yeah.
With the fight scene when they're
that
switching,
was
like, you want to
all-
switch?
That was all one shot.
That's
that was one of the
ridiculous.
most impressive shots I've seen in a while. And I did not expect going to Zombieland 2 to see a shot that impressive. They were breaking tables. They were like breaking stuff. They were shooting guns. And like, obviously a lot of that stuff was digitally put in. But like, I was just genuinely impressed seeing how they put that scene together. And that was by far, I think, the best action scene in either of the two movies.
Oh, 100%.
One thing that I didn't get is like the T-800 zombie that they were kept referring to, like the Terminator or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It could take like 18 bullets to the fucking chest. All right, wait. I'm sorry about that. I'm so used to it, but it could take a lot of shots to the body, but yet they were able to fight it with their bare hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of didn't get that. Like, that was kind of stupid to me. Like, it's supposed to be a Terminator zombie, and this thing is eating bullets from AKs and stuff and assault rifles, but yet
I
they're
think
able to
that-
fight it with their bare hands, and they're able to push them into the wall and punch them and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of stupid.
I think kind
you
of
know?
going back to that, in the beginning of the movie, they talked about the 3 new zombies that they kind of had, the Homers and the Ninja and the other ones. I never saw a Ninja. And I
Never
think that
saw
would have
a
been
ninja.
something cool to go into and like to explore the world.
Well, I
of
think
their
they didn't want to
zombies.
put jump scares in it because they didn't do jump scares in the last
Well,
one.
not
so they
necessarily a
didn't want
jump
to
scare, but
introduce-
they didn't even explain. They didn't show any of the other zombies that they talked about. They only mentioned the Homer like twice.
Yeah.
And then
I
that
forgot
was
the
really
middle
it.
one.
I think
Yeah.
the Ninja was the one that was on the I don't want to say tour, but the bus, the big
middle
bus.
one's name?
Remember how he creeped up behind
Oh yeah, I guess you
Jesse?
could say that, but I mean,
Because he was silent
Yeah.
and he like
I just think that I would have liked it if it was more of like a Left 4 Dead type
Yeah,
of thing.
I know
where
what
they
you
had
mean,
the
like,
difference in
yeah, like,
zombies.
oh, here comes another- yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, well, I think they were sort of setting up for this T-800, and then at the end, it just kind of seemed like the idea was scrapped a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I think, honestly, everything in the movie was pretty good. I just felt like it, in the end, sort of just weirdly came together. Like, I think it was a smart writing choice to have the guns melted, so that was a genuine problem that they had to fight them off with, like, ingenuity. But I thought it could have been done a little more creatively. And then also, I kind of thought, what compelled this girl, I forgot her name, but to come save them.
Nevada?
Nevada,
Reno
yeah,
or whatever?
with her monster truck. Like, you know, I just...
She
Yeah,
loved
it was just
Woody
a bunch of
Harrelson.
I guess so,
Yeah.
but and I know like that happens in movies. Literally, like almost every movie, where it's like somebody comes last minute, and most of the time, like I'm like, all right, whatever, they came last minute. But that just seemed weird to me. How she just like found the exact place it came when they're all about to die with this monster truck, and then literally just ran all the zombies over. Like, could the zombies not get on top of the truck? It just feels like certain zombies were kind of like dumbed down even more, and then like it kind of made them a little too strong just to deal with almost all the zombies with this kind of one quick little solving factor that kind of solves the entire problem that they had.
yeah.
I really like though how the truck did kill all those zombies by doing the back end bounce down on it. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah. You guys want to talk about the characters at all? Like in terms of like Madison, what did you guys think of Madison?
I thought she would be like annoying, and I guess she was a couple times, but I thought for like the most part, I actually laughed at a couple. I thought a really funny one was she was talking about like women voting, and she said women suffering. And he's like,
Yeah.
"Don't you mean suffrage?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "No." That was
I really liked how Emma Stone when she would talk to her, she would change her voice,
Yeah.
you know, and her tone would change, and she
Yeah.
tried to kind of like
Catty.
mimic her.
Yeah,
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 it
little-
was
It
so
was
good.
clever when they made Madison bring up the idea of basically like an Uber, and they were like, "Oh no, that's not gonna work." That'll be
Yeah,
stupid.
because it
Nah,
didn't
it's gonna
exist
work,"
at
but
the
it
point
didn't
the
exist.
zombies
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, listen, I thought that was pretty clever. I
that
like
was,
that.
yeah, because
That was
at
good
this
stuff.
point it does. Yeah,
does exist,
that was
you know?
a
pretty
cool
good.
thing.
I like that.
And you know, you were saying that you weren't a big fan of the whole allergy thing. I actually thought that was kind of clever.
It was, but it was so obvious to me that
Yeah.
you know what I
no,
mean.
because I knew she was gonna have an allergic reaction when she was eating the nuts.
yeah,
It just
and
kind
I
of
seen it, and then it seen her
Did
like.
they mention that she was allergic to
No,
nuts
they
before?
mentioned
No,
after,
but
'cause
it's
she's
just
like,
the shot of it and her eating them. It was like
See,
it
I didn't notice
stood
that.
out.
Yeah.
You know,
well, because after she's like, I'm allergic, and then Emma Stone's like, oh, like nuts and trail mix. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she probably should have known that.
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson though, hands down my favorite. He was
he's
my favorite
always-
in the
he's always
first
the
one.
best.
He-
Yeah.
And the reason why is I think because when everybody talks about surviving the zombie apocalypse, everybody envisions themselves really as being the Woody Harrelson who's just kind of losing their mind, enjoying themselves, having fun, you know. And I think he just does such a great job.
Another
of
thing
that.
that's weird is just like after 10 years of being with people, like I don't think that you're still gonna have that mentality of just like, all right, guys, I'm out. You know what I mean? I'm leaving. I'm going on my own adventure. Just leave a note. Like
Not
it's been-
even that. Like you guys are still using your fake names, Tallahassee.
you
like
know
it's
what
been
I mean?
10
It's been
years. You know what I mean?
like,
You've been
it's just-
together for a minute.
That's weird.
What
Like
if those their birth names? They're not.
Yeah.
nah.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I do think like Emma Stone, or I keep forgetting Wichita. Like I heard reason it wasn't justified, but at least she says, because that is sort of weird. Like if your boyfriend's being clingy and then you leave him, like in the zombie apocalypse. Yeah. But like I did at least understand hers. His was just like, oh, I just gotta go, get my.
First of all, what's the point of being married in the zombie apocalypse?
Yeah.
Like you're pretty much already together. You know what I mean? Like nobody else is going to advise that marriage. It's just.
Well, they
obviously.
they say a couple times in this movie and the first one, like there are other people out there. They just haven't necessarily found them yet. And then clearly we see from like Babylon, like there's a lot of other people.
Or kill of the week, kill of the year.
Yeah,
I like
people
that.
in like
That was pretty
Italy.
good.
I like those. They should
Pisa
make
one
like
was
a
nice.
YouTube channel of just
with
zombie,
that,
just to
yeah.
be creative ways to kill zombies.
Yeah, the Pisa one was really.
That was so funny. He did it with the carjack too.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was pretty solid. And I think like the best part of this movie is still the four main characters. The new ones, like I said, like I thought Madison was relatively funny. I did not like the hippie guy. He was supposed to. You're not supposed to like him. You're supposed to be like this pretentious, annoying hippie. But I still I really wish he did die. But I thought like the main four characters, even Jesse Eisenberg, like
Little
he was
Little
really
Rock was
solid.
pretty bad. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like her acting has gotten worse. Like I'm just gonna be 110% honest. I did not like her character in the movie this time. I thought she was better as a 12-year-old in 2009. I thought she was a lot better. But
Well, I think too, like you do sort of see a relatable thing from her though. Like if you're with a bunch of adults and you never actually got to experience like being.
But that's
a
more of a
teenager.
writing aspect than it is an acting thing.
That's a
Like,
human.
That's part of the story. Like she
Yeah.
had to do that. That's part of the story. You know,
Yeah,
we're talking
but-
about her
well,
actual portrayal
Okay,
of the character.
that's fair.
Wasn't
I mean,
good.
I didn't think she was like noticeably bad for me personally, but she also like definitely was the least engaging out of the four main characters. But I thought like that storyline was interesting. That like if you're spending all this time with these adults, you're like, oh, I want to spend time with people my age. And even if this guy who's like stealing other people's songs is inviting you to come with him, like you'd probably be like, at least he's close to my age, not like all these adults.
I really liked Woody Harrelson and Jesse Eisenberg's like masculine, manly relationship. Even though one of them would cry, they would do one of those, and they'd be like, "Thanks, man," or something like that. And I thought that was so funny. It was also cool, like a subtle way to show how they've grown closer.
Yeah.
Because before he was like, "I don't like you,"
Yeah.
and then he's like, "You're too regressive." But now they're really good, like companionship.
Yeah.
And
God. And I was just gonna say major props to everyone coming back too, especially Emma Stone, because I think she shot this like pretty soon after La La Land. Like so.
Wow.
oh, it's been a while.
That is crazy.
Yeah, in terms of like you have agents that are like, oh, you're beyond that now.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like and she was a team player in a way because she like basically is like, no, this is I want to be with this team. I mean, Woody Harrelson's always been Woody Harrelson, so he was like the main draw in the first one.
Woody Harrelson
But don't
can do,
forget,
like, a
he
lot of
also
stuff.
did like Hunger Games. Woody Harrelson's done a lot of.
No,
big
that's what I
movies as
meant.
well.
He's always been
No,
Woody
that's what I was-
Harrelson.
but
He's
Woody
always been the
Harrelson
draw.
does like anything. He does like these small dramas, and
Yeah,
then he'll do
he's-
Hunger Games or Planet of the Apes or something. Like,
Yeah.
he'll do a wide variety of movies.
Yeah,
He
usually
was
He's
the
so funny.
draw.
I love him. Though.
Yeah.
I think as an actor, I really like him. He's so.
Oh,
He's
he's been great. I mean, I've known him since Cheers, so that's how old I am.
Yeah,
Dated
no,
myself.
I thought just overall, I thought it was a solid movie. There were definitely some really good jokes. Like I'm glad they brought back the writers, Brett Reese and Paul Wernick, and then they brought back Ruben Fleischer, the director of the first one, who also directed Venom. And so it worried me because I do not like Venom, and I was like, did he lose touch? No, he stayed pretty consistent. The tone of the movie felt similar, but it also felt advanced. And besides like the weird ending, which I do think like kind of pales in comparison to the theme park or the carnival from the first one. I thought it was just an overall solid movie and for the most part entertained me. So I'll give it a 7.7 out of 10.
Before we move down the line, though, what would you give the first one, like in comparison?
Probably like 8.4.
Okay. We haven't talked about John's rating, but out of the 10, what would you give the first and then the second?
That's a good
the
point.
first, I would give it a 7.5. The first one, it's a pretty solid flick, but this one, maybe a 7. I would say a 7 out of
fair.
10. I would say a 7 out of 10.
I would give the first one an 8, just because I was worried, like when we rewatched it, that it kind of wouldn't hold up,
that is true.
especially now. And I think
It was a
that
good movie.
There's still some jokes that are kind of stuck in the early 2000s, but for the most part, I still enjoyed it just as much. And then this one, I enjoyed it, but not as much as the first one. So that's why I would give this one like a 7.5. I don't think you should not see it. I enjoyed seeing it in theaters, and it was fun to watch.
I'm pretty sure Jesse Eisenberg says Facebook more in the first two Zombielands than he actually says in the Social Network. Because because he says Facebook. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's a fun fact. Just made up.
People know that I love zombies. This movie came out before Walking Dead had hit this TV. I mean, it was a comic, and so now we're kind of used to that. I mean, Walking Dead, I think they're on like 10 years or whatever. Wow. It's long. Whatever they're on, it's like I'm just happy that this movie still came out, and so I love the first one. I would have given it a 9, the first one, because it was a refresh take on zombies.
But even after you rewatched it, like recently?
Yeah, because it still held up.
Okay.
And so if it didn't hold up and the jokes were like, oh man, this is like showed his age, I probably would have revised it. But knowing that I just watched it again and I'm like, it was still
So you
refreshing.
still give it a 9, like today?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of because it held up. If it didn't hold up, no, it would have been. And I honestly, this one it checked all the boxes of what I need for a sequel. So I'm more lenient on sequels, and I give it an 8.5.
Okay.
I give it right under it, because if you like the first one a lot, you probably will like this one, but some people don't. So
That's a strong rating system for it.
How did you guys feel about like the after credit scene with Bill Murray? How did you guys feel about that? I liked it. Thought it was pretty good. You know.
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. After seeing that after credit scene, I would like to see kind of like maybe a prequel
Yeah, that would
with
be
just
nice.
Bill
That would
Murray
be
and like
nice.
his group of people going
That'd be
ham
nice.
on zombies.
Got some more
like,
celebrities.
You know,
That'd be
that would
cool.
be really cool. And like if you just had like a Hollywood zombie.
Oh yeah, that would have been.
I can
cool.
definitely.
That'd be
see
really
it.
funny.
Yeah.
That'd be really funny.
That would be funny. Yeah, that was a good mid and end credit scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, let us know what you think of this movie if you saw it, and like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Adios.